Hi, my name's Kat Sapene, and today I will be painting the Wonder Woman premium format figure by Sideshow. Let's get started. The story that we're telling with this one is that Wonder Woman has busted into this underground bunker. In researching images, they all had this green in the shadows, and it really helps give that sense of being in sort of this like underground area. For this version of Wonder Woman, we're going with a light olive skin tone. So now it's time to start the highlights. When it comes to the highlights, I like to thin the paint with a little bit of water and a little bit of denatured alcohol. Now I just want to hit some of these lighter areas. I don't want to cover the whole area. I just want to sort of hit more of the high points of her muscles and whatnot, just the areas that might be catching a little bit more light. I'm going to do some thin washes, just thinned out this blue quite a bit. I'm not looking to add a lot of the blue color. I just want to sort of stain the skin a little bit and give it a little bit of texture that will end up feeling a little bit like blue veins and stuff that you've got going on. And then I've got a little alcohol spray. I'm just going to spray it a little. And if there are any little spots that are too noticeable, you can always just take a wet toothpick and sort of blend them away a little bit. Now the next step is to go in with a little bit of yellow. The next step is with the airbrush speckle my red. My red's a little bit more on the orangey brown side because I want to keep her olive skin tone. And then I'm going to lower the pressure, air pressure on my airbrush so that it goes from a stream like that to just some little speckles. The combination of these three steps sort of darkens the overall skin tone a little bit as well, so that's something that you want to keep in mind when you're mixing your highlights and shadows. You can see the difference. The speckle has sort of toned this one, but it's also evened things out a little bit. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to base out the hair. So I just have some black thinned out with water, no alcohol this time because it's just a base coat. So now we're gonna paint her tiara. I just have the base color. I'm not worried about getting anything darker or lighter. Metallics are always tricky. You want to thin them out a little bit, but not too much because they're already a little translucent. So when it comes to doing the sclera of the eye, your eyes are not that bright a white. So I'll mix up a little bit of gray. It's usually got a little bit of the skin tone to it, also to soften it up so it's not too dark or too cool a color. So I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and add the blush to the cheeks. I'm just going to go ahead and throw a little bit of pink in the inner corner of the eye. That'll just help frame out the eyes. Once I go back and actually complete the eyes, we'll do some little washes and whatnot, but this just helps make her feel a little more alive. Now I'm going to go in and I'm just going to paint her teeth. I'm going to try not to get any on her lips because I'm just going to airbrush a little bit of the blush color on her lips. In this step, I'm not looking to get a perfect lip line. I'm just looking to put a little bit of soft color on there. So I'm going to do the eyebrows, and if you notice, this figure doesn't have the eyebrows sculpted in. I know she's got black hair, so her eyebrows are going to be a lot darker, but I'm going to just start off with this light brown, and I'm going to thin it down with a good bit of water. You want a brush that's got a really nice thin point. I also sealed this before I started, so that'll make it easier to be able to remove just the eyebrow paint. So that's fine for now. Now I'm going to do the other side. And this is a lot of just back and forth to make sure that they match. I'm going to go in with this raw umber, which at that scale, it's so dark a brown, it's almost black. And now I'm not trying to go in and match it hair for hair. I'm just going in and adding a few darker hairs. Another option, if you don't want to make the eyebrows too thick, you can just go in really lightly, really lightly with a new sharp X-Acto and just sort of lightly scrape some of the paint off. Now she's got eyebrows. Now we just need eyes. But I think at this point what I'm gonna do before doing the eyes is I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna give her a little bit of eyeshadow. And then I'm just gonna add a little bit of color on the lower lid as well, along where I'll be putting some eyeliner later. Now that I've got the eyeshadow done, the next step is going to be adding a little bit more color to the lips, because I just want to do almost like a lip gloss on there, sort of a cooler pink, so it's a little fleshier. What I've done is I've thinned it with this satin matte medium. I can build up the color and get it as pink as I want. And then I'm just gonna, on the lower lip, add just a little bit more right on the inside center of the lip. Those are her lips. I think that's where we're gonna leave it for now. Once the eyes and the hair are in place, I can reevaluate and make sure that that's sort of the level of lipstick that I want. So the star on her tiara is going to be red, but like a metallic red. So I'm just gonna go ahead and base that out in silver, and then what I do is usually put a little clear red over top so that it's a more of a metallic red. You want as bright a silver as possible when you're gonna put something that's translucent over top. I would like a nice bright red, so my base should be nice and bright. So here I've got the figure on the base. This is going to help me really figure out exactly where her eyes should be positioned. I'm just marking the center, like where the pupil is, and then I just work around that. You're not seeing the full circle, but you always want to keep in mind that you're drawing part of a full circle and not just this like weird U shape. Eyes are really that one detail that you really want to spend a lot of time on and make sure they are looking in the right direction. So now what I'm going to do is take a little bit of black paint and gently place in the pupil a little bit. It's really just a placeholder. So for the lower lid, I'm just taking this, the same pink that I used for the inner eye corner, and I'm gonna mix it in with a little bit of black. Now with the eyeliner, you wanna bring in a really thin line into the inner eye corner there. So now I'm gonna do the inner iris. I just like to do little striations, kind of, little lines, like a starburst. So with this, I'm gonna do the same little lines like I did on the inner iris color, but it's gonna stay closer to the pupil. So now you can see she's got the little bit of highlight in the iris as well. So now we're gonna put in the little white dot. Now you don't want it to be too big. She's not a baby doll here. You're not looking for doe eyes. You just want a little bit of that reflection of the light that we've got painted into the rest of her body. So from here, I'm gonna finish off the eyelashes and the lower eyeliner. You can see the eyes really pop, but in a pretty cartoonish way. So you wanna kinda add some shading to the sclera so that it just sort of settles the eyes in and makes it feel more natural. You can see the difference in how the eyes sit in the face and how just more natural and realistic this one looks than this one. Now I'm going to do a clear red over the silver star, but I want it to be clear because I want that shine and metallic aspect of the silver to show through that red. So we've got the hair based out, and now I'm just going to add a few highlights. Highlights and shadows are a good way to accentuate the motion of the hair and give it a little bit of life. That's always the hardest thing to really make look realistic. Now that I got that main highlight color down, I'm just gonna go in with a slightly lighter highlight color. You can see the difference between the two. I'm just gonna get a little bit of paint on there and take most of it off so that there's just a little bit left on there, so that when I just sort of run the bristles across the sculpture, it'll just catch on those high points. So the last thing that we want to do to really bring some life to the portrait is to add just a little bit of gloss to the eyes. Adding that little bit of gloss just really brings the whole thing to life. I usually gloss the whole sclera, but you want to really make sure that you're not getting any on the lower lid, because then it looks like she's been crying and she's just got a little line of tears there. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of intensity to her expression to really sell the effect. To add to the intensity, I'm just gonna make the eyebrows a little bit thicker up top. I've got just a little bit of a transparent raw umber, thinned out with some alcohol to put in that shading under the brow. So before I do too much more airbrushing, I'm gonna put a little bit of latex on the eyes just to protect them. I'm just gonna add a little rosiness to it. It's a little too orangey. The latex hasn't actually fully set, but it comes right off. And anything that's left on there, what I'm gonna do is just hit it with the blow dryer and then peel the rest of that away. There we go. She's all done. So there you have it, your Wonder Woman portrait all wrapped up.